everyone, I hope you're all doing super well and welcome to a little video about all my drawings that I have been creating for Mabsdrawloweenclub this month. I finally took part. If you are new to my channel, don't forget to subscribe. I would be most grateful, and thank you all so much for amazing comments and likes, and yeah, it's just really nice, wonderful things that you said on my last video because I had such a lovely amount of comments. So I haven't actually done a video for a while where I'm speaking to the camera. The reason being my ring light is still broken. It actually turns off after just completely randomly actually. So I will be speaking, I'll be filming just as we are now, and it will suddenly turn off. So it's very difficult for me therefore to film a sort of continuous video, but I'm going to do my best. Of course I could cut my video constantly, but that just takes so long in editing, and I'm, you know, as you probably know, quite lazy. So I'm going to start with my very first drawing. Now, in case you don't know what Mabsdrawloweenclub is, it is essentially like Inktober. So every October, for every day, you have to create a drawing. And this is a hashtag on Instagram, by the way. So the idea is you create a drawing, or it can be any piece, it can be in any medium, which is great because it doesn't have to be, you know, strictly drawing. Hashtag is created by Mab Graves. She's an incredible artist and she creates prompts every single day. Now, it's very similar to Inktober in that you create something every day, but it's quite different in the sense that the actual hashtag kind of revolves around mystical, fantastical themes, which really appeals to me because obviously anything like trolls and like monsters, skeletons, all of those ideas are in this within this hashtag for the month, which is amazing. And actually the hashtag runs all year. You can post anything during the year and sort of tag it, but it's really great because it can get you to really kind of like delve into your imagination, go to, you know, explore themes that you would never normally do. I mean, during this time frame, I have, you know, started to draw and create things that I would not normally. I'm going to show you my drawings and talk a little bit about them. I'm not going to go too much into the stories behind them because if you're interested in that, instead of my repeating what is on Instagram, if you just follow me on Instagram and I will follow you if you're a creative person, and then that will probably be easier. And so the very first day, I wasn't entirely sure that I was going to do Mabsdrawloweenclub for the whole month because I just wanted to see what people's reaction was really, because I thought if my drawing is terrible, then maybe I should just give up after the first like day, which is what I did last year with Inktober, which was, you know, a disaster for me. It is every year. I can never do Inktober because I feel like I'm not that good at inking. So this was my very first drawing, and it probably looks okay like from this distance, but actually if you go close up, I'm going to try and show you close up, it actually looks terrible. Because basically what happened was so a lot of my drawing supplies are put away because most of the year I am oil painting, so I don't really feel the need to bring out my drawing supplies, and I couldn't find my sharpener, or rather I knew where it was, but I'd already started drawing and I thought, well, I have to I can't be bothered to get it out because it was all in some box packed away. And so I used the I used the Faber-Castell pencils for this, the Polychromos. I always get Polychromos and Prismacolors mixed up. Polychromos, and they weren't sharpened, and also there were a bunch of completely mishmashed colours. And I don't know whether you can't really see on camera maybe, but it's not filled in properly because when you don't sharpen your pencil enough, you can get this sort of like grainy effect, and a lot of the paper doesn't get filled in correctly, which is exactly what happened. So sharpen your pencil, don't do what I did. So that was day one. I was quite pleased with the theme of the drawing though, and the whole concept of it. Now I was using, I'm just going to talk to my material, so I was using Strathmore toned tan. This is not my favourite Strathmore paper. The reason being, I really like the toned tan. I like the tan idea because it means it's toned. This is leading somewhere, and that's great because when you draw on a toned surface, it makes your whites really show up and any kind of light colours show up beautifully. So it made the eyes look amazing. But the problem is, I feel with some of the Strathmore papers is that they are really thin. I mean, that just means nothing, but sometimes when I'm drawing, halfway through the drawing I might suddenly decide to use some sort of mixed media with it. So I might use paint, or I might use like a pencil blend like the Zest It one, or I may use some markers. And so it is a problem if the paper is really thin, because if you decide to start using paint and things with it, then the paper will wrinkle. So I know it's not actually meant for mixed media, but I just wish that it was thicker, so if it gives you that option, if that makes sense. It is more economical, because when you buy the pad you get like tons and tons of paper, which is great, but on the other hand it's not thick enough if you want to add paint and so forth. So that was day 1. I'm actually going to skip ahead to day 3, because I did do an oil painting on day 2, but it is still drying, and yeah, so I just want to show you day 3 instead. So this was I don't know whether you can see actually, oh here we go. So this was a drawing, and it was with Prismacolors. So I went back to my absolute favourite colouring pencils, which is Prismas. I feel like they are so easy to use, they're so soft. They're not the best if you like to press hard when you draw. So just as a heads up, because a lot of people buy them now and say they're really disappointing because they do a lot of layering. And with me, if I'm doing portraits and I'm really going for proper portrait drawing, I will actually layer a lot, and there is a danger of them breaking. They tend to break either within the pencil or at the top, and you need a really, really good sharpener to use with them, like a proper sharpener, not just one that you get for like 50p from a stationery shop. Not sure you can buy them still for 50p, but yeah, you don't want one of those. You want a really, really great sharpener, and if you can get them sharp without breaking them, they are amazing pencils. So I do think, I don't know, I feel like I absolutely love them, but I understand why some people detest them, and I can totally understand why they have, you know, negative reviews as well. So this I actually created a different drawing, so I don't know if you can see. I'm going to just move this forward. So this was the initial drawing, and I didn't finish it. I used so many colours, and it's a bit of a problem with me when I use too many colours. I end up giving up, because I find my drawings tend to work better when I use less colours. Less is more in terms of my particular style. And so I'm really happy with how this came out. Now I use the Strathmore Vellum, and this is my favourite paper by Strathmore, because it's really thick and it's amazing for building up layers, because it's so dense and you can really just pack on the colour, and it doesn't kind of fray, and the paper just keeps this kind of like, it has a sort of immaculate quality to it. It allows you to build up the layers. There is another paper by Strathmore that I cannot remember the name of, and it basically has like a shiny surface, and when you draw on it, it gives your skin tones or whatever you're drawing a really nice glossy glow. I really like that paper as well. I still think the vellum is a bit better, but it's a really, really nice one as well. But I don't know the name of it, but it's one of them. I don't know, they have so many papers, but if I remember it or discover it, I will leave it in the description. So next up we have another, oh, I always think this is upside down, but it's not actually. Next up we have another drawing. This was the next day, and as you can see, this paper is black, yes. So what happened was, I thought that maybe I would draw on black paper, because when I used to do a lot of drawings on my YouTube channel, when I started out, my drawings on coloured paper and dark paper were received the best. Now, I'm not entirely sure that I'm still good at drawing on dark paper, because when I went back to it, I actually found it quite challenging. Partly because you've got to get all the tonal issues right from the beginning, and so that was something interesting. Also, I find it really difficult to photograph, because I don't know whether you can see, you probably can't, but this paper is extremely warped. I have a funny story about this. So basically I, a couple of years ago, ordered this paper by Strathmore. It was the black paper, and normally I get it from art shops that I buy all my painting supplies from, like specialist art stores, but I couldn't find this paper anywhere, and I really wanted to try it, so I found it in one place on Amazon, and it had like, I think like no reviews, and I'd never heard the place before where I was ordering it from, so I was a bit worried, but I thought, well, it's the only place that sells it, so I'm just gonna get it. Anyway, it took ages to arrive, and finally when I got it, the package, I remember, looked like someone had like kicked it or like stamped on it or something. And when I opened the package, like the outside of the package wasn't wet, but when I opened it, the inside, like the paper pad, was completely wet. Like, it was really strange. And then when I opened up the pad, all of the paper was soaking wet and like warped. And so I'm one of those people that never complains, even though you should. And so I probably would complain now. I feel like I'm getting slightly more assertive, but at that time I was just like, oh well, I just have to live with it. So I dried the paper on like a radiator or something, and then I put it between like underneath loads and loads of books, so that I thought, well, it will probably iron it all out. And it didn't, because it's been 2 years since I have seen this paper. I like removed it from underneath the books and it's still warped. But anyway, the actual paper itself is brilliant because you can get really, really fine detail. So yeah, for the next few days, I just did 3 other drawings on dark paper. So I don't know if you can see. Again, these were really difficult to photograph, not just because they were wrinkled, the paper was wrinkled, but also because I tend to photograph my artwork in the morning and with some lighting and things, and so the light was just like sort of bouncing off the dark paper, which just was a fail really. This is one of my favourites actually, a little skeleton. And then I have worked on 2 oil paintings which I haven't put up yet, but by the time this video goes up I will have put them up. So this is a I don't know if you can see, again, the paint isn't dry, so it's a little bit difficult to see, but we have like a couple of portraits, and I wanted a really sort of classical look for both of them, much like how I do most of my oil paintings. So I don't know if you can see, I'll just sort of move them around because they're so shiny. It's purely just because of the medium, nothing else. And I actually gessoed oil painting paper. Again, this is actually by Strathmore. This is an amazing paper, and I sort of used a black gesso because I've run out of white gesso, which is such a shame, and I thought I have to use up the black gesso that I've got because I haven't used it and I've just sort of left it there. But since I don't have any other gesso, it's kind of like the only thing I can use really, and I'm enjoying using it. I do find it using black gesso, working on dark painting backgrounds and primers, more difficult than using a white primer, but I do really like the end result. And also what's really useful if you're ever using a dark primer is if you're doing sort of quick studies like this, you don't actually have to fill out the background because the background is already dark. So yeah, so I do hope you enjoyed this little video and these little spooky entries into Mabsdrawloweenclub. Let me know if you guys are taking part in Inktober or Mabsdrawloweenclub or anything like that. I'm working on some other oil paintings, like from my normal for my normal channel videos. But next Friday, I may do another video about my progress on Mabsdrawloweenclub because it's lasting a month. So if I can somehow fix my ring light, but it's behaved itself so well, I'm actually quite amazed. So before it all breaks down, I will see you next week, and don't forget to subscribe, and see you then. Take care, guys.